Good morning, and thank you for tuning in to the Tatecast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We've got a great show for you today. We're going to be covering the Milwaukee Bucks head coach, Adrian Griffin, Pete Carroll and the Chargers, the WWE Raw and Netflix, and then make sure you stick around later in the show where we'll be discussing today's oddities. Before we start, I'd like to ask you that you like and follow the show. Also, we get a number of questions from the viewers that come in during the show, so to ensure that your question gets read on the air, I ask that you use the tips and donation link with your question. The tips and donations link is streamelements.com/gsmcsportsnetwork./tip. This puts your question at the top of the list so that we can see it, and it also just really helps the show. Without further ado, let's get started.
Hello, Miss Faith. How are you doing there?
I'm good, Tate. How are you doing?
I am doing good. I'm all excited about today. First chance I get, I'm going outside. It is like super sunny. It's like a summer day outside today, so I am definitely jonesing to get out there and get into some sun.
Whew, that must be nice. I'm jealous. It's still freezing cold here and rainy. It's rainy all week and foggy, so
Okay,
it's
what's considered cold today?
I think I want to say the high is around 50s, and the
Okay,
low
that's not
is
bad
well,
considering what I've been hearing.
the lows are like in the 20s, so like it
I
goes from
can't do
20
it.
to about 50, and then raining makes it even worse. And so it's just the perfect weather to like stay in bed and with the heater on and watch TV. I struggled getting out of bed this morning. I really did.
Wow, especially in those cold mornings. It's supposed to be 70 here. So I am definitely fired up for to get outside.
Yeah. Ugh, that must be so
So, and
nice.
just so everyone doesn't, if you haven't been watching the show, I live in Europe and the Algarve and Portugal. So, which is right by the
Living the
beach.
dream.
It's sunny. Absolutely love it. All right. So, what do you have for me today, Faith?
Alrighty. So first off, we're going to be discussing Adrian Griffin. He was fired as Milwaukee's Bucks head coach after 43 games Tuesday, which was yesterday, January 23rd. Um, I I don't really keep up with basketball that much, but apparently it's normal for head coaches to be fired at not even like being there for a year. That's what I
No, no,
read.
no.
So,
That is not normal. It's, in my opinion, that's the total opposite of normal. Um, he just got there. He's a first year coach. He has the second best record in the league, only 3 games from having the best record in the league. He's only behind the Celtics in the Eastern Conference. And it's not even All-Star break. And when you look at it and you're saying you need a guy, it for a first year coach, I feel like he needs some time to kind of get some cohesion with the players, understand his players, uh understand what their strengths and weaknesses are. I don't feel like the Bucks really gave him a fighting chance. I do understand that the Bucks, Milwaukee Bucks, are a championship or bust team. But when you look at it, if you're going to bring in a first year coach, you're going to look at him and give him a chance to really understand the team. From everything I'm seeing, it seems like uh, with the addition of Dame Lillard, I felt like the Bucks defense wasn't as strong as it was last year. I think they were a top five, top yeah, top five defensive team, and now I think they're like 20th or 21st defense. So they definitely did slide, but adding Damian Lillard, he is not known to be a defensive stopper. I thought you needed to give him more time. Now, from everything I'm seeing, they're really, really looking at bringing in Doc Rivers. And if they're looking at, hey, this guy's a brand new coach, he's young, and we don't have time to make that adjustment, and they're going to go after Doc Rivers. Kudos to them for taking that plunge, but I think to eliminate a guy's to fire a guy this early in the season on his first job, I just think was done in bad taste. What was your thoughts? Imagine you just start a brand new job. You're there. You're within your first couple of months of being at the job. You're like, man, I'm really starting to get on to things. There's things I'm learning, and then it's like, hey, you're out of here.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
I can't imagine, like, he's only been there since June, so it hasn't even been a full year that he's been coaching. I I feel like at least give him a full year to try and get the team back on track to where they were, you know. Um
And when you're saying back on track, they have the second best record in the Eastern Conference. I think the second best record in the NBA, and they're only 3 games from being in first place and overall the best record in the league. I think that shows that he's being successful. It'd be
mhm.
different if you were like the Lakers and the Lakers who made it to the Western Conference Finals, and now they're battling, to make the play in. And if you're looking at that and you're like, we're championship or bust, and we're in danger of missing the play in. Okay, that makes sense. But to be like, I'm only 3 games from having the best record in the league, and you're like, you're out of here. I mean, he has to feel uh not good about this. Well, no one feels good about being fired, but you're going home, you're talking to the family, yeah, we're doing really well. I'm really excited about our you know, our team. We're going into the All-Star break where you'll get some time during the All-Star break that you can work on some other things. Maybe have the owner come to you and say, listen, we're really slipping in the defensive category. In order to win, we need to be a strong defensive team, and say, hey, coach, I mean, hey, we'll work on it. We'll get better at it. But I don't feel like he got a chance. Do you
No.
agree on that?
No, I definitely feel like he didn't have a chance, and Griffin's tenure is actually the third shortest in NBA history for a head coach, which is
Jeez.
absolutely insane to me. And Bucks were 6-4 over the last 10 games, and they were in the middle of a 2-game winning streak. So, I mean, it doesn't really make any sense as to why he would be fired. I know you
How do
did
you
touch.
Go ahead.
I know
Go
you
ahead.
did
Go ahead. I'll
touch
let you
on.
finish.
I know you did touch on Rivers, and they said Rivers and the Bucks are working towards a deal, but they also said Chris Haynes, head coach of the Philly 76ers, is strongly considered
Philadelphia
as well.
76ers.
Yeah.
Okay. From what I'm seeing as I've been diving into this, it looks like Doc Rivers is going to be the coach. I'm sorry if I'm gonna get rid of my coach and not give him a chance and say it's championship or bust, then to come in mid-season, you're gonna need a coach that has a strong personality, a championship pedigree, and that's Doc Rivers. Uh, he's gonna be respected by the players. Giannis and Dame Lillard, you walk in there mid-season, you're gonna need a guy like Doc Rivers to make that to be able to come in, uh, get things calm. Doc Rivers is a very strong defensive-minded coach. He grew up in the Chicago area, which is right in that same Milwaukee area. Um, so he's kind of a good fit. Personally, Doc Rivers, players love working for him as well. If you were gonna give your coach that short of a leash, you should have just started with Doc Rivers. I think they'd be further along. To be looking around as a coach and saying, "Hey, we're on a winning streak. We're at the top of the division. We're battling for home field, and we still have the midseason. I mean, All-Star break to work on things. This has to come as a shock if you're the coach.
Is this like a normal thing for the Bucks to fire this often? Because
No. Okay, go to why did you say that?
um, because Mike Boldenhauser, Holzer,
Okay.
was fired in 2023 following the first round collapse against the Miami Heat. So Griffin
Now
was
see,
hired shortly after that.
I understand that you have that championship mindset and it's championship or bust, and you're going in there and you're expected to make it past Miami, and you get a big upset where a team that you looked at as and that you're the superior team and your team collapses. I could see why an owner would be like, you know what, this has to change. But to be early in the regular season, haven't even given your coach a half a season or a whole season to really show what he can do. I just thought it, like I said, poor form. Now, honestly, if I'm looking at it but if you're looking at it and you're just saying, I'm looking at this guy, and I know I'm talking on both sides, but I'm trying to look at things through the owner's eyes. And you're saying, listen, it's early in the season. Yes, we have a good record, but I look at this team and I say, we're not good enough to get past the Celtics. We're not good enough to get past the 76ers or whomever. I mean, and you're saying like, you know what, we need to make a change. I understand. I just feel like as an organization, that should have been thought about before the season ever started. You should look at, okay, we're championship or bust, what's going to happen? And I don't know this, but you have to think in the back of my mind, is there a cultural or a relationship fracture between Dame Leonard and Giannis with the coach, and they were checking out. His message was falling on deaf ears. There has to be more to this. It may never come out, but there has to be more. You cannot be on a winning streak, but great record. You're doing strong, unless the owner's looking in there and it's just like Giannis and Dame are just like they're not feeling the coach. This is not working. And someone has gone behind the scenes and said, listen, our star players are not happy with the way they're being utilized or not happy with the way they're playing. There has to be more to this to get rid of the coach this early in his tenure with the organization.
Yeah, I
So
feel like, I at least wait. I would say at least wait a year, because then he can like build relationships with those players, utilize them to the best of his ability and their ability. That way, they can play with each other's strengths. Um,
yeah, okay.
I'm shocked. I was shocked by the news.
Oh, you're thinking rational. You're saying give it a year. How about this? Give it a give it to the All-Star break. Give them to the All-Star break, and then you could still make this move and still at the All-Star break bring in Doc Rivers, but it still phases me. I'm still can't wrap my head around. They're not right now in the West the eighth seed or the ninth seed or the 10th seed. They're the number 2 seed with a shot at being the number 1 seed with over majority of the season still left. I'm sorry, it has to be more than that. Someone has gone to the owner. Someone has either relayed something or the owner has seen something that he doesn't like, and he's just like, we made a mistake and I'm rectifying it right now. And if that's the case, if the owner's looking at it and just saying he's seeing something that is so egregious that it's like, we're making a change, that is his prerogative. If I, later on, if I was a coach, if I was an upstart coach and the Milwaukee Bucks came to me, this would come back. I would look at this hard before I said, you know what, I want to go to the Bucks. And when you're looking at Doc Rivers, championship coach, loved by the players, have had a great record. But if you're talking about you fired your last coach because of an epic collapse, Doc Rivers has been year after year, season after season since that Celtics championship. Doc Rivers is known for his teams collapsing in the playoffs. So, what happens if the proverbial Doc Rivers team collapse happens this year? Are you going to fire Doc Rivers and you're looking for another coach? These are all things that I'm looking at that I'm wondering about here.
Yeah, it definitely seems like something else is going on behind the scenes. While Adrian Griffin is gone and they
Mm-hmm.
are looking to hire somebody else, assistant coach Joe Prunty is expected to take over as an interim basis. How do
Yes.
you feel about that?
Well, that's pretty standard. And it's a smart move. If you're gonna get rid of your coach, you can't like just blow up everything mid-season. That would be crazy. So you have an assistant coach that understands the players, understands the culture, understands the offense, the schemes, and makes it easier to transition into bringing in Doc Rivers, where you have somebody that could work hand in hand with Doc to bring him up to speed and make that transition from the current system to implementing more of what Doc Rivers wants. I'm there from everything I'm hearing. They're looking at hiring Doc Rivers could be as early as today, from kind of what's been kind of out there. So, and I'm making the assumption. I know that there's other coaches that are being considered, but in my opinion, no, there's not. There's only Doc Rivers. You're not. I mean, if you're a championship team with Giannis and Dame Lillard, you're gonna have to bring in someone that they truly, truly respect and are going to fall in line in what he has to say. So partnering Doc Rivers up with the assistant coach and them working together, it's the only decision that I see. Because if you go any other direction, you could lose your team. Uh, if the players aren't happy, if the players are wondering what's going on, that shows up on the court and a team. You're talking about epic collapse. That's when an epic collapse can happen. So to prevent that, you have to bring in a Doc Rivers.
Well, hopefully it works out for them and they, don't fire Doc Rivers after 6 months of
Oh,
being on the job.
and listen, I know it sounds crazy, but if Doc Rivers goes into Milwaukee and Milwaukee goes up and let's say they're playing Miami or Philly or even worse, Philadelphia, where Doc Rivers was the coach at before, and they're up 3-0 and the 76ers come roaring back and win in a 7-game series. Oh boy, you talk about the news headlines writing themselves. You're gonna be leading every single podcast, sports center, talk show in the country. So it's a heck of a risk. It's a risk reward. If they win it all, everyone's gonna look at the owner as he's a genius. He's an outright genius. He saw something that was wrong. He fixed it, and it propelled them to the championship. So this one's going to be this could be a heaven or hell situation, I think.
Well,
So,
I guess we have to wait and see and find out whether or not it was
all
a good
right.
decision. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick little break, and when we come back, we'll be discussing Pete Carroll and the LA Chargers.